The recent election results have left many of us grappling with a hard reality. It's undeniable now, there are millions of Americans who have opted for a future under an authoritarian figure, a leader who disregards truth, plays fast and loose with the rule of law, and shows little regard for the democratic values this country was built upon. This isn't some far-off dystopian scenario, this is happening now. And it raises the question, what kind of country do we want to be? For those of us who still believe in the American system of government, this is a moment of reckoning. We're not talking about a minor setback or a temporary challenge. This is a deeper, more fundamental shift. We are now in the same conversation with countries where strongmen rule unchecked, where the very idea of a government that represents its people, by the people, for the people, has been replaced by something else entirely. And it's not just a hypothetical concern anymore. It's a reality that's unfolding before our eyes. Take a moment and think about this. The United States has been the only true multiracial, pluralistic democracy for over 240 years. We have led the way, imperfectly but always striving to live up to the ideals of liberty and equality. But now, we see that tens of millions of Americans are willing to trade that system in for something different. And the scariest part? A lot of them are convinced this is the right move. They've bought into the idea that a single, all-powerful leader is the answer to the country's problems. It's up to us now to prove them wrong. You might be thinking, what does this mean for me? What can I do about it? Well, the answer is, a lot. If you want to protect the values that have kept this country going for over 2 centuries, you need to realize that the fight is just beginning. Democracy doesn't just disappear overnight, it's chipped away, piece by piece, and unless we fight for it, unless we speak out, it could be gone before we even realize it. Take a look at the agenda that's being pushed forward now. Budget cuts. We're hearing from Republican leaders about slashing $2 trillion from the government budget. At first glance, that might sound like just another policy proposal, but think about what that actually means. The total discretionary budget for the federal government is about $1.7 trillion. So how do you cut $2 trillion? It's simple, you'd have to shut down entire government agencies. This isn't a debate about trimming the fat, it's about dismantling the very infrastructure that makes our government function. Are we ready to give up everything from healthcare to defense just to make a political point? Is that really the solution to our problems? But that's not all. The next priority on the agenda is mass deportation. Republicans are talking about rounding up millions of undocumented immigrants, many of whom have been living in the U.S. for years, and sending them back. Jim Banks, a Republican senator from Indiana, has made it clear that this is one of their top priorities. He's even pushing for harsher penalties on businesses that hire immigrants, as though the solution to the labor shortages in key industries is to punish employers. But have they really thought this through? What happens when we lose entire segments of the workforce, especially in industries like agriculture and construction, where immigrants play a vital role? Will we just import workers from other countries, or will those industries collapse? And what about the millions of people who've built lives here, who are now being told they don't belong? How will that affect our communities, our economy, and our values? Then there's the more extreme, dangerous rhetoric that's being normalized. We've all seen the rise of white nationalist ideologies, but it's starting to seep into the mainstream more than ever. Just recently, far-right figure Nick Fuentes tweeted something that was deeply disturbing: "Your body, my choice, forever." This wasn't just a bad joke, it was an attack on women's autonomy, an attempt to control their bodies and strip away their rights. And it's not just words, it's a sign of the kind of world these people are trying to create. A world where women are reduced to nothing more than vessels, where personal freedom is secondary to the will of a few. And let's be real, this kind of rhetoric isn't just floating around the fringes anymore. It's gaining traction, and it's becoming more normalized. Just think about the fact that we're even having conversations about legal immigration being a threat, about businesses being punished for hiring undocumented workers, and about taking away the rights of those who've been here for years. It's no longer just policy, it's a call to remake America in the image of a select few, and to discard the ideals of liberty and justice that so many have fought for. Now, I know this can all feel overwhelming. It's easy to think that we've lost ground, that the battle is over, that the fight for democracy is a lost cause. But let me tell you, this is not the time to give up. This is the time to stand up and fight harder than ever before. It's not just about policies, it's about protecting our values, our freedoms, and the future we want for this country. It's about making sure that we don't let fear and misinformation dictate the direction of our government. So, I need you to ask yourself, what kind of America do you want to live in? A country where a small group of elites control everything, where the rights of women and immigrants are stripped away, where lies and misinformation shape public policy? Or do you want an America where the people still have a say, where democracy still matters, and where we fight for justice for all? The train is still moving. The future is still up for grabs. But we can't afford to be passive spectators in this moment. If you believe in democracy, in the values of fairness and equality, it's time to step up. It's time to get involved. It's time to make your voice heard. Because if we don't, we might just wake up one day and realize that the country we once knew is no longer recognizable. Before we go, if you care about this conversation, if you care about the future of this country, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to stay updated on what happens next. Share this with your friends, family, and anyone who still believes in the promise of a free and just society. We have a lot of work to do, and we need everyone on board. Because if we don't fight for this country, who will? The future of democracy is in our hands.